Two more questions today. While everyone is talking about VR, is there anything that people are not talking about about VR that is exciting to you? Something that's significant that people aren't really talking about yet? If we got it covered.
Yeah, I think the challenge with VR is that unless you've put it on, you really don't understand the difference. Sure. So we throw around terms like presence and putting you in the environment, making you believe, and all these other things. And the challenge of something like this interview is that if the person hasn't had access to a Rift or a Vive or PlayStation VR or what have you, they just don't feel it. Like they don't understand it. It's when you put the person in the device for the first time that they get it. You put them at the edge of a virtual building and ask them to walk off, and they can't, which was the first demo that I was put through, and a demo that I gave 1,000 times. That's when people become believers. You know, when you walk across a desk in a social app, and the person that you walk up to, you walk right through the desk because the desk doesn't exist, and the person gets back, and you ask them, why were you scared? I'm a floating blue head in Toy Box, one of our demos. When you clearly, I'm not going to attack you. You know, like you were pushing things through your hands that you're not physical, and they say, I don't know, I just didn't know. It's like, I didn't know what to do. Just like when you walk up to somebody in a bar and you get in their face, they're like, is this an attack? What is this? You're up in my space. That happens in VR. It never happens with the television. Yeah. So it's those little subtle things that make people believe. And I think what we haven't really done is put it on everyone's head. And that's the next few years once these devices launch.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think about, like, a lot how we get people to experience VR. Like, you know, a lot of my game developer friends, we talk about, like, and maybe you can talk about this, Jason. I don't know what the plans are, but, like, how do we get consumers in actual retail stores to have good VR experiences, right? And it's not about having the guy at GameStop come out from behind the counter and push reset, right? It's, you have to have somebody there who knows what they're doing, and it's got to be a good, you know, like the Oculus event was a great example of having people who know what they're talking about and are knowledgeable about VR and kind of explain the onboarding system and just getting people, you know, getting the headsets on them, because nothing is going to kill VR faster than walking up to a kiosk in Best Buy where the headset's dangling off and something spinning around the screens don't work right. So,
it'll happen.
I'll add something that I don't think has been talked about too much, and that's the shared VR experience. And I think part of that has to do with our focus right now on just the launch of the VR devices. But once we have more of a critical mass of installed users out there, then we start to solve the problems that involve person playing together in VR. And I had that experience with Toy Box that you mentioned back at E3, and it was transformative for me. Being in that demo and having another player in another room handing me something or tossing me something I could catch or shooting at me was like nothing I'd ever experienced in games before.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, and that just is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we can do when we play with others in this virtual space. And I don't think many people have talked about it yet, but it's coming.
Let alone implemented it, right? The difference between walking up to a virtual character that's doing this, and they don't have the head interaction of a real character. It's just different. And then bringing up a menu, offering a sword as a trade. They bring up a menu, and there's this, stuff going on versus just saying, "Would you like to buy my sword?" And they go, "Here, have some cash," and you trade and walk away from each other. Like, I haven't seen that in a game yet, but it's totally going to happen. You've seen it happen in Toy Box by handing somebody something.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And that's one of the things that I think ultimately is going to help separate VR from more traditional approaches, because yes, you can play co-op in your favorite traditional game, but playing co-op in a VR game, I think, is going to be yet another facet of games that just draw more people in and make them realize, wow, games really are deep. I mean, there's this social connection that you cannot get through any other form of entertainment.